This is my walkthrough for the Recycle Hero project I did during my time at UCLan University. The point of this project is to create a minigame of sorts, or a party game, where the player can collect a bunch of objects, achieve a score, and then pass the controller over to their friends and see if their friends can get a higher score, adding replayability. When the player first loads up the game, they will need to type in their name in order for a score to be recorded. But they can also tutorial, which will explain all the different UI elements that I've needed to add on screen, letting the player keep track of what is going on. In the main level of the game, the player will be around enemies, which are also trying to achieve the same goal as them, and that is to reach a certain point value before the level can be completed. Each level, the point value can be set in the editor to be different, making later levels of the game harder. There are 3 stages to the tutorial. You just simply go through the first 2. The first one is simply letting the player interact with one of the many interactables, and then having them place it in the goalpost. The second level is showing them that there are multiple different types and that they are worth different values. And the third one here is showing that enemy walking around the level and stealing all of the players' interactables before they can get them. You can watch that as they dump those collectibles at the goalpost, the red bar on the top right will go up. And if that's full, then the enemy will win and the player will lose. Once the tutorial is over, or if the player just jumps straight into the game, they will have 2 minutes and 40 seconds in order to collect all of these interactables before the NPC can. If they do, they can progress onto more levels. The time in which it takes, as well as how much each of these interactables are worth and how many is required, can be changed by the developer in the editor per level and per instance of that collectible. One of the goals of my game is to discourage the player from immediately picking up the interactables and then dumping them in the bin goalposts right next to them, and instead having them hold on to it until they hit their maximum capacity. This is because each of the interactables will increase the multiplier down at the bottom right by a fraction, and the more you collect, the higher that multiplier will go. The trick that I'm trying to encourage them here is that they can figure out which interactables offer a higher point value, and then dump them, and only them, for a even greater point value than if they picked up some low point values, or if they picked up some high ones, but they only picked up 3, and then they immediately dumped them in the goalpost. The only feedback I've got for the player, which my teachers have mentioned, is that it is difficult for all this knowledge to be acquired by the player. However, that was my intent. The lack of explanation that increasing the multiplier if you weren't paying attention to it, the lack of that knowledge is something for the player to earn by replaying this over and over again. At the moment, I only have 1 of the levels done, but it is not difficult to add more levels later. my current score is 2,500, and when I dump the recycling ones here into their bin, I will get 600. But if I pick up these cardboard ones and these recycling ones, my score goes back up to 3,400. And if I dump that, never mind, I lost the timer went out. You can submit a score. So if you didn't enter a name earlier, you can enter a name now, and it will record that score. You can go back to the main menu and ignore that. You can see, there you go, Kyle. Registered both. Start again. From this project, what I've learned is how to make actors communicate with each other at a greater level, and how to get other actors to see the variables such as how much the player is carrying, what the points are worth, what the multiplier is, where the enemy has to find the locations of the other interactable actors. This is knowledge I was not familiar with at the start of this project, and now I am much more confident in replicating. As you can see here, I've reached the maximum carry weight, which is 30 interactables. So if I dump 2 of them in there, I lose the points in my current score that they were worth, but I can collect 2 more of those. And now what will happen is it will times the points that those 2 purple interactables are worth by 4 when I dump them in the goalpost. And there you go, I've won. And you just hit next level. There's no need to submit score when you're on a winning streak, but when you lose, it will automatically save a score from the name that you typed in at the beginning on the menu. And if you hit the submit button, you can overwrite that name as well. This level here, the second one, is unfinished. You can, in the current state, finish it. It's just not very realistic to a real level scenario that I would build. As you can see, in order to win, you just collect all of these for maximum point value. But any developer that gets these project files can change which level will load up there and program their own very easily. But I've won. And if we go back to the main menu, you can see the high score. I hit the button again. There we go, 6,000. 690,000.